Good morning to everybody listening to us. Good morning to Nigerian community. Good morning to the pedagogues community. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is the voice of Kende Ogunshiji, the anchor of the Pedagogues Educational Consultancy Services, an educational research institute and any facilitating firm dedicated to improving educational activities in Nigeria and Sahara Africa. And our activities hinges majorly on enlightening the public and the parents on what they need to do in order to improve the education of their children. Today, we'll be discussing a very important topic which states that the concern of educational psychologists to educational development. Yes, the educational industry has relationship with many other fields such as counseling, such as history, such as psychology, and many others. But today, we'll be talking about that aspect that has to do with the psychology of education. This is the coming together of two broad branches of human endeavor, meaning education, which is the transmission of culture, norms, values, beliefs, tradition from one generation to the other, whereas psychology has to do with the study of human behavior. The study of human behavior. So when talking about these two broad branches, they have influence on what teachers do. They have influence on what curriculum experts do. They have influence on what and how learners learn. In other words, it is also important for parents to understand the broad branches, these two broad branches, namely educational branch and the psychology branch. So today, the teacher can happen to be an historian, he can happen to be a psychologist, could happen to be a philosopher, could happen to be an evaluator, he could act as a facilitator of mediated learning experience. A teacher at times could even be acting as in loco parentis, that is acting in the capacity of parents. So the teacher, by their very natures, are social sophisticates. That is, when you see a teacher, you see an array of many talents in a teacher. So don't be surprised when teachers give certain instruction to your child. It could be based on certain educational philosophies, psychology or sociology. So we are going to be dealing with the psychological aspect of education. How does a child learn? When you talk about the learning of a child, learning, according to Morgan and King in 1954, is the relative permanent change in behavior as a result of experience. So this learning comes from perception. When you talk of perception, it talks about how a child learns. Is it through the sense of sight? Is it through the sense of hearing? Is it through the sense of touch? These are ways learners learn. It has to do with cognition. It has to do with the emotional makeup of the child. Is the child emotionally balanced? When a child is not emotionally balanced, they will not be able to write, to read, they will not be able to learn. We are talking about the personality of the child. Children there are various type of children. Some are gifted children, some are slow learners, some have very high IQ, some are not well versed, some are below average. These are the psychological concern of teachers. And we are talking about the interpersonal relationship. Some know how to relate well, some don't know how to relate well. So it is important for parents to also understand all these things in talking about the training of their children. I'll talk about the psychology of education. We'll be talking about school as an organization, the social psychology, and the students. Everything that the teacher does in the school, the students are at the center of the instructional objective, meaning that the society has great influence on the education of the child, the parents has influence on the education of the child, and the teaching philosophies also have influence on the education of the child. So what are the concerns of educational psychology? Psychology, as like I said, has to do with human behavior. That is, the way a particular child will behave differs from the way another child will behave. The way even an adult behaves differ from the way another adult behaves. In other words, the behavior of a particular child will tend to influence how that child learns. So it is important for us to arrange instructional objective on individual basis. That is, learning has to be individualistic. It has to be personalized. The way teachers approach certain child will be different from the way a teacher will approach another child. So it is important for parents to understand when teachers give instruction to them on the children. It could be as a result of the mental capacity of your child. It could be as a result of some genetic factors attributed to your child. It could be as a result of certain learning deficiencies. Then the teacher has to give an instruction based on the psychology of that child. So what are the concerns of educational psychology? We talk about human growth and development. Yes. Instructional objectives are designed from primary school, secondary school, and tertiary institution based on the level of human growth. Human growth has to do with the mental development. It has to do with what a particular child is able to do at a particular time. So it is very, very much important for instructional objective to be designed in line with the mental capacity, in line with the intellectual capacity of a particular child. That's why I was discussing class keeping the other time. Then we have to talk about learning and instruction. Then it is the concern of educational psychologists. Another concern of educational psychology is slow learning. Slow learners, who are slow learners? Slow learners are students who do not easily grasp what the teacher is saying. A slow learner does not necessarily mean that the child is not brilliant. In fact, research puts it that many of these slow learners at the end of the day are more intelligent than the early bloomers and fast learners, because whatever they are learning in their own case is more retained. It's more retained because they easily remember for a long time what they have learned than the early learners. So at times, teachers, we have to give instruction based on the capacity of the child. If this child is a slow learner, then it means that maybe the teacher can arrange for paced learning. It means that technology-aided instruction will be necessary for that child. What do I mean by this? Getting films, getting educational tips, getting instructional materials for the child, and supervising the child will be very much important for a slow learner, and not comparing the child with another child, encouraging the child. Yes. Another concern of educational psychology is motivation. Yes. What do we call motivation? Motivation is what moves us towards the acquisition of a desirable goal, of a predetermined goal, That's what moves us. And we have two types of motivation. We have intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is the type of motivation that comes from within, while extrinsic motivation is the type of motivation that comes from the external environment. The parents can give the child extrinsic motivation. Yes, I will buy you this at the end of the term. It's the concern of psychologists that we have to motivate children to learn. We motivate them by the end goal of education. If you study hard, you will become this, you will become that, you will become a leader, you will know your left from your right. These are the concerns of educational psychologists. And it is also important for parents to also motivate their children to read, encourage them, counsel them, give them gifts. When they do well, yes, then we'll be talking about positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement can come as a result of clap. It can come as a result of very good, excellent, making positive remarks on the education of your child. That is positive reinforcement. And when a child is positively reinforced, he is going to elicit another desirable behavior, because education by its very nature is to elicit the desirable result, is to elicit desirable outcome from a child, shaping the child, modifying the child, grooming the child to become what the society is proud of. It is very important for parents to motivate. And when we cannot be talking about motivation without talking about the Abraham Maslow theory of motivation, that hierarchy of need. We're talking about self-esteem. We're talking about physiological needs, shelter, clothing, feeding. If a child is hungry, that child cannot learn. If the child is a product of a parent who fights often and often, depression, a child that is staying with another person who is not the parent, who is being maltreated, that particular child will not learn. These are environmental factors that affect the learning of a child, and this is also the concern of educational psychologists. This is a concern of teachers. When the teacher try to counsel you, this is not how to do it. Make learning environment conducive for this child to learn. They are concerns of educational psychologists. Then we'll be talking about love and belonging needs. Is this child accepted? If a particular child has an environment that welcomes him, is in an environment where he's appreciated, is in an environment where he's being supported, this child will learn. Yes, it is very important for parents to encourage their children to learn. It is also important for teachers to encourage learners to learn. It is also important for educational stakeholders in the affairs, at the end of affairs, to put programs in place to encourage children to learn. Then we'll be talking about individual differences. By genetics, man is different. A person is different from another person because by nature, men are made of chromosomes. We are made of genes. In other words, the generic makeup of a particular child, it differs from the generic makeup of a particular child, of another child. So it will be very wrong for you as a parent to compare your child with another child. Even the Bible says they who compare themselves with another person is not wise, because the loophole of another person will be the strong point of another person. In other words, it is important for educational specialists, it is important for curriculum experts, it is important for technologists in education and administrators to design instructional objectives in such a way to elicit desirable behavior on children on individual basis. You should not compare your child. Just that the learning environment should make sure that the learning environment provides what the child needs to succeed. You will see a child, he will be good in sports. You will see another child will be good in the act of speaking, oratory. You will see another child will be good in drawing. You will see another child will be good in music. According to Howard, we're talking about intelligence. We have 7 levels of intelligence. We have verbal intelligence. You have interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence, bodily kinesis, and many others. So these are the levels of intelligence according to Howard. These are the concerns of educationists. That is, the educationists try to track the intelligence pattern of a child, and educationists now try to design instructional objectives to achieve learning outcome, making the child look dynamic in its own way. Parents should stop killing the dynamism in their children. Do not compare your child with another child. It's the concern of educational psychologists. Then the mental health of the child. The mental health. If a child is not mentally stable, he will not be able to learn. If a child is hungry, he will not be able to learn. If a child has certain impairments, like albinism, that is visual impairment, àfín, ó ní bá a ṣe máa ń kọ́ àfín, ọmọ tó bá jẹ́ àfín a máa gbé síwájú class. Ọmọ tó bá jẹ́ àfín, if a child is an albino, we try to put in place educational technology to aid the learning of the child. And by this educational technology, we're talking about audio aids, visual aids, audiovisual aids. These are very, very much important. Many people we see albino, they will say that this is an irritated person. He does not know anything. What do you mean? What do you mean? We only need to design instructional objective to elicit the best behavior from the child. We should not write off any child. Some children will have hearing impairment. It is important for you as a parent to take note of the capacity of your child, to take note of the deficiency of your child. Many parents do not even try to take note of this. That's why we are talking about all these things, so that you know what to look for in your child, because the strength of a particular child is the weakness of another child, and vice versa. So it is very, very important for parents to take note of the education of their children. We're talking about hereditarian factor. If the father is intelligent, if the mother is intelligent, the child will be intelligent. That is gene. That is, we try to inherit traits, brilliant intellectual traits from our parents. It's inheritable. That's where the nature-nurture controversy comes in. That is, you can be a genius is born and a genius is made. If you are not born a genius, you can still become a genius. Parents can still make their children geniuses by going through the nurture, that is the training, the environmental factor, making it more very in line with their children, making it more conducive and more favorable for their children. If the environmental factor is okay, the child will learn effectively. That is, you provide good textbook for your children, you supervise their reading, the child is not hungry in the school, the child is not being sent out of school for because of school fees or whatever reason, the child is mentally stable, then those are environmental factors that will make a child to learn. So it is very, very much important. It is very, very much important. Then it is the concern of educational psychologists, certain learning theories. We talk about reinforcement. We're talking about Pavlov, the salivating dog. That is, if you give a particular child certain thing, you reward a particular child, the child will learn positively. And we have both positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement could be in type of gift. That's why you see schools engaging in competition. Inter-school competition, intra-school competition is an holistic attempt to elicit the best behavior from the child through positive reinforcement. You see, the parents can also do this. If you come first in your class, I will give you this. If you make A's all through your WAEC, I will give you this. I will do this. Those are positive reinforcement. You can encourage them by way of counseling. Another thing that is another both positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement can be used to bring out the desirable behavior from a child. Maybe a particular child does something that is wrong. You try to reprimand the child, you try to scold the child, you try to beat the child or spank the child, although corporal punishment is being nullified in our society today. But at times, so these are the concerns of educationists. So then we're talking about the developmental psychology, the development. The way you take care of a male child is different from the way you take care of a female child. When a child is reaching adolescence, when the child is reaching maturity, puberty, we're talking about peer group influence and many other issues. We're talking about the influence of the mass media. So it is very, very much important that when the child is assuming the age of 10 or is assuming the age of early adulthood, parents need to create time to study their children. Parents need to create time to ensure that their children are doing the right thing and they are giving the right counseling. So this is why many schools today arrange for counseling seminars, behavioral seminars, seminar on cultism, seminar on drug abuse, seminar on premarital sex. They are not just for fun. These are the concerns of educational psychologists to the development of education. And these things must not wind out in our schools. It should continue because you cannot just be talking about the cognitive teaching, learning, memorizing, writing notes without paying attention to the affective. If the affective is not normal, then the child cannot learn. You see many children, they will not be able to greet their teachers. They will not be able to learn. They have no respect for anybody. They have no respect for fellow men. So these are the concerns of educational psychologists. How are we going to make the education of these children holistic? It is the concern of educational psychologists. So it is very, very much important for parents to take notes of what they need to do as their children grow. Talking about developmental psychology, how your child develops. There are certain information you need to give your child as an adolescent. This calls for parents to be more enlightened, and this call for school authorities and educational administrators to also design some extracurricular program to enhance counseling in schools. Very, very much important. So I use this medium to sincerely thank and appreciate everybody sharing our video and listening to us. And I use this medium to also appreciate those who support us in one way or the other. This is not only our activity on this platform and on the activity of the pedagogues. We also run English for specific purpose classes aimed towards correcting educational lacks in English language. Maybe you are the owner of a company, you want to give your staff certain training on English. We can design educational materials for you and instruction that will give your um, that will give your staff basic literacy, that is communication skill, which is going to help them in the delivery of your service. Then we also write historical books, maybe history of cities, historicities, biographies. We write them, and we also edit. We edit, we proofread, we edit, and we do a number of things. Then we do general publishing. So thank you very much for listening to us. Keep listening to us. Keep sharing our video. We thank you for sharing our videos, those that are doing that and those that are liking our page. God bless you. Till we meet next time. Thank you and bye.